Hello everyone, and welcome back to this channel. To this little corner of the internet that I call home, I suppose. Today we're delving into something a little bit different from my usual content. This type of video is actually one of the earliest ideas I had for this channel, actually, to do lore videos for, fictional military equipment. But went for gaming instead. Don't worry. I'll still do gaming, right? I'll still stream. I'll still upload my weekly War Thunder videos. This is more of an expansion of the channel instead of a turn of direction, I suppose. So let's take a deep dive into my favorite mech in the entire Battletech universe, the VND-1R Vindicator. We'll explore its history, its design, and its various variants, mixing factual lore with a bit of touch of my opinions here and there and everywhere, you know? It's gonna be a casual video, right? It's not gonna be too serious. And I do appreciate your patience, for this will be my first scripted video. It's not a video like this, so if it ends up bad, I apologize. So, without further ado, my name is Zuda, and let's take a deep dive to the T-34 of the far future, the medium battle mech, VND-1R Vindicator. The year is 2821, marking the end of the First Succession War. Humanity faced a technological and economic downturn after this apocalyptic event, initiating the Ionosphere's decline. Chancellor Ilsa Lau of the Capellan Confederation, in response to the war's toll on her nation, directed remaining resources into science and the military. The result was a significant development, the VND-1R Vindicator. The CCAF, or Capellan Confederation Armed Forces, needed to rebuild themselves as quickly as they could to prepare for the next war, whatever that may be. So, Ceres Metals Industry, the company responsible for manufacturing the battle mech, designed the Vindicator to be as easy to mass produce as possible. The mech uses parts that are easy to source and produce so that it is easy to maintain and repair, and also not to strain the supply chain in the event of war. To top it all off, the mech was cheap at about 3 million C-bills per mech. This could be from policy, from government subsidies or whatever, or it is just that cheap to build. In older lore, actually, they even opted not to give the mech a rotating torso to keep costs down. They've retconned this, and now the mech can rotate its torso. You can see on these old pictures, though, that the torso is just one single unit, one single block, and there is absolutely no way for the torso to twist. There is not even a line on that part of the mech. It's just one single block. The Capellans knew that they would not have the industrial capabilities to design and produce specialized mechs on a mass scale, so they opted to have the Vindicator be an all-rounded type of mech, a jack of all trades, if you will. You can probably see why I called this mech T-34 the far future, as that tank was also similarly designed. Easy to produce, doesn't excel in anything, but good enough for the job. The Vindicator is powered by a GM 180 engine. Yes, that GM, Chevrolet GM, General Motors, the exact same one, which gives it a top speed of about 64 kilometers per hour or 40 miles per hour, which is good enough to outspeed most heavier class mechs, but is actually one of the slower mediums out there, as some models like the Phoenix Hawk can reach 97 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour. It also comes equipped with 4 jump jets, giving it a jumping distance of 120 meters. This allows it to jump over rough terrain or use it in combat to jump around more sluggish mechs, especially heavier ones, get behind them, and shoot them where their armor is weakest. It carries about 9 tons of armor, which again is decent, especially for a 45-tonner. For the standard weapons loadout, the primary weapon is the PPC attached to its right arm. A LRM-5 launcher is located on the left side of its chest with only 24 shots. A medium laser is mounted on its head, and a small laser is attached to its left arm, which also comes equipped with a hand module that allows fine manipulation controls, and also to grab improvised melee weapons like an entire tree to use as a club, or just throw a good punch. Due to the medium laser being mounted on the head, the cockpit of the mech is actually pretty cramped, especially for some taller mech warriors. This also has the unfortunate side effect of potentially getting in the way of the ejection seat, which may or may not lead to a lethal consequence. However, this was fixed way later in the year 3039. To cool all this, the mech is fitted with 16 single heat sinks, which I gotta tell you from my experience piloting this thing in MechWarrior Online or 5, it is not enough, especially how I use it. Personally, I think with its weapons loadout, the Vindicator would probably be more of a designated marksman in a lance. Its main weapons are long-range weapons, right? The two laser cannons, the medium and the small one, I would say are more emergency cannons, because like I said, the heat sinks were not enough, or at least again how I use it. I would say distance and distraction are your best friends if you pilot this thing. The Vindicator is almost exclusively used by the Capellans. Its simplicity isn't looked at as a good thing. This, combined with the fact that its parts are, for whatever reason, escalated in price for non-Capellan parties, doesn't make the mech popular outside Capellan space. That being said, I don't doubt that friendly states like the Magistry of Canopus and the Taurian Concordat would have easy and possible cheap access to this mech. Like any other mech out there, the Vindicator has a lot of other variants aside from standard. The earliest known variant is the VND-1X, which is basically the pre-production model. It's the same, but the only difference being that it had a machine gun instead of a small laser on its left arm. This was changed to a small laser from a different company as a way to facilitate domestic trading. Next is the VND-1AA, the AA meaning Avenging Angel. This variant was designed to make the Vindicator almost on par with the Phoenix Hawk in terms of speed and maneuverability. A stronger engine puts the speed up to 86 km per hour or 53 miles per hour, and an extra jump jet was mounted, giving it an extra 30 meters of jump distance. They did have to reduce their armor significantly though to a mere 4.5 tons to be able to reach this new level of agility. This variant though was considered a failure, as it was soon discovered that speed is not really a good substitute for armor, especially something that's pretty big. The next known variant is the VND-1SIC or St. Ives Compact. This is the compact standard variant of the Vindicator. It swaps out the PPC for a large laser and the LRM-5 for an LRM-10. The next variant is, I would say, the first major upgrade for the standard model called the VND-3L. This variant mounts previously lost technology to increase its firepower and survivability. The PPC is upgraded to an ER model, ER meaning extended range. Both lasers were swapped out for a single medium pulse laser on the head. Now the difference between a normal laser and a pulse laser is that a normal laser, when it shoots, is just one single beam. A pulse laser, instead of a single beam, it's multiple beams. So think of it like a lightsaber and a blaster. The pulse does more damage, but it generates more heat. So to handle this extra heat, double heat sinks were installed. The LRM ammo was put inside a case module. A case module is basically a blow-up panel, like the Abrams blow-up panel. Then there's the field refit version called the 3LR, and this variant swaps the ER PPC for a snub-nose PPC, so the opposite of an ER. This is like a short-range PPC. An MML-5 launcher, or a multi-missile launcher system. This means you can switch from long-range missiles to short-range missiles. And the pulse laser is replaced with a single ER medium laser. There's also an experimental 3LD variant, which turns the mech into a drone actually. The cockpit is swapped with a drone control module, and the jump jets and case module were removed because the LRM launcher was replaced with two ER medium lasers. The space where the ammo would have been was filled with extra heat sinks to counteract the extra heat from the medium lasers. These mechs were controlled by an AI called the Broken actually, and This could be its own video because the broken's actually pretty interesting. So the next variant is the second major upgrade for the Vindicator, the 4L variant. This variant is quite similar to the previous 1AA actually, the Avenging Angel variant, in which the engine is upgraded to a 22.5 model, giving it the same top speed of 86 kilometers per hour or 53 miles per hour. It also has the extra jump jet, giving it max distance of 150 meters. Its weapons loadout consists of an ER-PPC and an LRM-5 for long range, an ER medium laser on the torso, and a medium pulse laser on the head for short range. Now, unlike the 1AA, this variant retains its 9 tons of armor, except this time it's stealth armor. Now, stealth armor basically means that it makes your mech harder to be detected by long-range sensors. This variant also carries a Guardian ECM unit. Now, an ECM unit is basically a jammer. It messes with targeting, it messes with communications, and it can also give out false, like, phantom pings on enemy sensors. So if they look at the radar and be like, hey, I see a dot right there, that could be someone over there. Turns out it's just the ECM messing with them. There's a con, I guess. A downside to this ECM unit is that it's very short range. It's only got a maximum range of 180 meters. So I would say that from a distance, a pilot would use the stealth armor, right? And once they are caught, or they are engaged in close range battles, that's when they turn it off and turn on the ECM unit. Because these two systems, they can't be used at the same time. Not entirely sure why. If I have to guess, game balance. But yeah, once you get into close range, you turn off your stealth armor and you use the ECM to mess with their sensors and everything, so you can try to get away. Also, I forgot to mention, the stealth armor, when it's turned on, it generates heat. So you'll be invisible to sensors, but if they turn on thermals, yeah, you will light up like a Christmas tree. To counteract all the heat generated by these new systems, they added double heat sinks as well. But I think, again, in my experience from using this in Mech HQ, still gotta manage it. You can't just be like, all this heat is the vents can take it. You gotta manage it. I think that's my problem. I don't manage it, I just shoot. So I would say that the 4L is a refined version of the 1AA, a concept that didn't work before due to the lack of certain technologies. The 4L actually became a common model in the Capellan Shadow Lances, which is just a lance filled with mechs with stealth armor. The next two variants I would say are more sub-variants of the 4L rather than fully upgraded models. The first one being the 5L. The 5L is basically a close-range version of the 4L. It retains the armor, but it went back to its original GM engine and removed the extra jump jet as well. But this variant is installed with something called a triple strength Myomer system. Now, Myomer is basically the muscle of the mech. So at its base, right, you will have the frame, which is the skeleton of the mech, and then you will have the Myomer fiber. That's the meat, that's the muscle of the mech. So this triple strength is a roided out version of the Myomer fiber. This will allow a mech to move faster and hit harder. There's another similar system called the Myomer Accelerated Signal Circuitry, or MASC, but that's a different thing. Back to the 5L, its weapons loadout is different from the 4L variant. It retains the ER-PPC but ditches the LRM-5 launcher. Instead of the LRM-5, you get pairs of ER medium lasers and ER medium pulse lasers, a small pulse laser, and a normal small laser installed on the torso. To top it all off, the 5L gets a sword. They had to remove some of the heat sinks to make space for these systems though, so you're gonna have to really manage this one because you got a lot more laser weaponry attached to you. Again, this is more of a sub variant rather than a completely new variant, at least in my opinion. The armor is the same as the 4L. Like the 5L, it uses the older engine, the older GM engine, and only comes with 4 gem jets. But it gets a new additional system. Aside from the triple strength Mimir system from before, this variant also gets a targeting computer. Now these computers, they don't have the capabilities to produce themselves, so they actually had to salvage them from enemy machines, especially the Federated Suns. So due to the fact that they have to salvage these things, and it's not a guarantee that you're going to get a mech with a targeting computer, this variant is rare and it's only given to the best Vindicator pilots out there. As for weapons, the 6L is equipped with a plasma rifle, which I have to say is lethal. You do not want to get shot by this thing. Think of this as a white phosphorus cannon. It will melt you. Then you have 2 ER medium lasers installed on the left side of the torso, replacing the LRM-5. And then you get a pair of one-shot rocket launchers on the left arm instead of a small laser. And you also get a sword. Next up is the newest variant, the 7L, which I didn't even know existed until I did my research on this mech, because this is actually new, and new like in universe and also in real life. This variant uses the original 1R variant as a base actually, instead of the 4L. The PPC is upgraded into a clan ER PPC, so clan weapons are basically just extended range weapons. So this is basically an EER PPC. It does more damage and it shoots further. The LRM-5 is retained with its missiles placed in a Case 2 compartment. So a Case 2, it's just a better version of the Case 1, and it deals less damage to your frame, and you can actually mount it on your limbs as well instead of just the torso. The small laser on the left arm is switched out for the small X pulse laser, basically an extended range pulse laser. And the medium laser on the head is swapped out for an ER version. The biggest difference between this, the 7L, and the 1R is the fact that the 7L uses heavy ferrofibrous armor, which is basically a heavier, more denser armor compared to the standard armor that the 1R uses. So this obviously significantly increases the survivability. There is another variant called the 1P, but the canonity of this variant is uncertain to say the least. It's similar to the 1R, but instead of a PPC, you get a large laser, and the small laser on its left arm is removed and you get an axe instead. Now, there isn't a 2L that I'm aware of, or at least an official one, but the engineers behind the Vindicator did consider putting an extra PPC on the left arm. They didn't do it though, because 2 PPCs generate a lot of heat, and 16 single heat sinks, not gonna cut it. So if I had to guess what the 2L was, it'd be this. There's also another mech called the Snake, which is a modified Vindicator that is specifically designed to combat battle armor. I could go over this on a later video. Of course, like many other mechs out there, there are custom variants built by the respective pilots, yourself or canon pilots in the universe. Some are more known than most, like the 1R Vong variant. This was used by a Major Chong Vong, who simply removed the small laser on the left arm and replaced a medium laser from the head in its place. This was done to free up cockpit space because the dude was fat. The 1R St. Ives Blue was the personal mech of one Michael Jones. His mech was actually the original VND-1SIC before it became serial production. The next custom is the VND-3LD Vindicator Dao, not to be mistaken by the earlier 3LD drone variant. This one was piloted by an unnamed Capellan bounty hunter. It had clan heat sinks, ferrofibrous armor, and an endo steel frame. The mech carries a clan ER PPC and mounts a Battletech taser. This taser is literally just a big taser that he uses to shut down enemy mechs so he can capture his bounty alive. It also comes with a supercharger to increase its speed and something called an actuator enhancement system, which helps the pilot to be more accurate. And finally, there's the 6L Akula Custom. This is actually my own variant that I gave to one of my pilots in the Mech HU campaign. It's my video, right? I can do whatever I want. This custom was piloted by one Sao Wei or Lieutenant Dmitry Akula Petrov of the 3rd Tikhonov Guards. It uses the 6L as a base, but with the plasma rifle switched out for an ER PPC. The torso ER medium lasers were moved back to the head and left arm, with an MML-3 launcher taking their place with 40 shots of missiles stored inside a case compartment. Dmitry, having piloted the 3L, 3LR, and 4L before being rewarded the 6L, preferred the weapon systems from those variants and had a similar loadout installed in the 6L. Being a mid to long range fighter, he didn't see any reason to keep the sword. Now, speaking of pilots, the Vindicator also has its fair share of notable pilots. First, there's one Irfan Bakr, a veteran Vindicator pilot who hails from the Federated Suns. He married a Capellan woman and moved in with her into the Confederation. Constantly fearing for his life and position due to his background, Irfan is known to take risks to prove his loyalty. Next, we have a Captain Aknoroy Vasuni. He was a captain in the renowned missionary outfit, McCarran's Armored Cavalry, or the Big Mac. He studied exobotany before joining the outfit. This allows him to provide terrain analysis when he was deployed. Aknoroy, as a hobby, is known to go to look out for specimens regardless of the weather and the current threat level of the area. He needs his minerals, man. And finally, we have this guy called Chad Jackson. Not only was he a commander or Paijang of the warrior house Imara, but he was also a part-time underwear model. He's also rumored to be the father of Kali Lao, the sister of Sun Tzu Lao, dubbed the greatest chancellor the Confederation ever had, because the mother, Ramona Lao, had invited him for multiple and frequent private visits. Now, private visits doesn't necessarily mean, that, but in this case, probably does. This dude is living up to his name. And there we end this overview of the VND 1R Vindicator. Now, this isn't the best mech. I'm not gonna argue that it is. It is a jack of all trades mech, and you know what they say about jack of all trades. Good at everything, but master of none. But I still love it. Mainly due to how it looks. We look at it. It looks like a Zaku too. Now, when I pilot this in Mech Warrior or command it in Battletech or Mech HQ, and I've always had it in a support role because, from my experience, that's where it excels the most, providing secondary damage. So yeah, that's the overview of the VND1 Vindicator. Thanks for watching, everyone. Again, this is my first time doing something scripted like this, so I do apologize if it's bad. So please do tell me if there are things that could be improved. I don't know when the next overview will be, but I would definitely do more of this. Like, this is actually pretty fun to do. The writing and everything. It's pretty fun. So yeah, I'm gonna do more of it. I already know what I'm gonna cover next though, so please tell me if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see covered. But until next time, everybody, this has been me, this has been that, and I bid you all a good day and farewell.